It is a wonderful thing how much a thing needs to be in one, has a desire in them, how much courage anyone must have to be doing anything if they are a first one. It is a wonderful thing how much a thing needs to be in one, anything. It does take courage to be doing a serious thing if you are a first one. That is certain. I did not like this picture. I found something appalling in the drawing of the legs and the feet, something that repelled and shocked me. My brother Leo and I almost quarreled about this picture. He wanted it. I did not want it in the house. Sagot, the art dealer, gathering a little of the discussion, said, "Oh, but that is all right. If you do not like the legs and feet, it is very easy to guillotine her and only take the head." No, that would not do. Everyone agreed, and nothing was decided. My brother Leo and I continued to be very divided in this matter, and we were very angry with each other. Finally, it was decided that since he wanted it so badly, and that he was going to pay for it, we would buy it. And in this way, the first Picasso was brought into 27 Rue de Fleur. The first time I met Picasso was at a dinner party that my brother Leo had arranged. It is a funny thing about Pablo. He is always promptness itself. He is never early and he is never late. It is his pride that punctuality is the politeness of kings. Of course, he often says yes when he has no intention of doing what he said yes to. He can't say no. No is not in his vocabulary. And you have to know whether his yes means yes or means no. But when he says a yes that means yes, he is always punctual. And this night he was. I was seated next to him at dinner. I reached out to pick up a piece of bread. "This," said Picasso, snatching it back with violence, "this piece of bread is mine." I laughed. He looked sheepish. That was the beginning of our long intimacy. We had immediately understood each other. Bread. Bread. Bread and cake. Cake and bread. Which is better? I myself think that bread, when there is good butter, is better than cake. But when there is no bread and no butter, then there is cake. Marie Antoinette was quite right about that. It is a wonderful thing, and I am now repeating, it is a wonderful thing how much a thing needs to be in one, anyone. It does take courage to be doing a serious thing if you are a first one. You do know by this time that although I do listen, I do hear, I do see, I do feel, I do talk. I have the failing of my tribe. I believe in the sacred right of conversation, even when it is a monologue. I am thinking about the first time I posed for Picasso. How it came about, neither of us really knows. Pablo had never had anyone pose for him since he was 16. He was then 24. And I had never thought of having my portrait painted. It was the height of the end of Picasso's Harlequin period, when the canvases were enormous, the figures also. His atelier was all disorder. More coming and going, more red-hot fire in the stove, more cooking, and more interruptions. There was an armchair where I sat to pose. There was a couch where everybody sat and slept. There was a little kitchen chair upon which Picasso sat to paint. There was a little fox terrier that had something the matter with it, and had been and was about to be taken again to the veterinary. No Frenchman or Frenchwoman, for that matter, is so poor or so careless or so avaricious, but that they can and do constantly take their pet to the vet. It was during this time that I was writing quantities of portraits of everybody I knew. I took my position. Picasso sat very tight on his chair and very close to his canvas and on a very small palette, which was a uniform brown-gray color, mixed more brown and gray. And the painting began. It was the first of some 80 or 90 sittings. Picasso. One whom some were following was one who was completely charming. One whom some were following was one who was certainly completely charming. Some were certainly following and were certain that the one they were then following was one working and was one bringing out of himself then something. Some were certainly following and were certain that the one they were then following was one bringing out of himself then something that was coming to be a heavy thing, a solid thing, and a complete thing. Something had been coming out of him. Certainly it was something. Certainly it had been coming out of him, and it had meaning, a charmed meaning, a solid meaning, a struggling meaning, a clear meaning. This had never been one not having something coming out of this one. This one was one who was working, and certainly this one was needing to be working so as to be one being working. This one was one whom some were following. This one was one having something coming out of him, and this thing, the thing coming out of him, always had a completely real meaning. This one was needing to be working. This one was working. This one was not ever completely working. This one certainly was not completely working. This one was one having something coming out of him. This one would be one all his living having something coming out of him. He did have some following. They were always following him. He was one who was working. He was one having something coming out of him, something having meaning. He was not ever completely working. Suddenly, one day, Picasso painted out the whole of my head. I can't see you when I look, he said, irritably.